Hello and welcome to K21 Academy. Today, our experts will discuss Ansible, an essential tool in DevOps, discover why it's crucial, where it's fit in your workflow, and the various ways to utilize effectively. Stay tuned for the insight and don't miss the ending for a special free class. So, let's begin.
Welcome all. So today the session that we are going to start is related to Ansible. Now, why this Ansible is so much important in today's DevOps scenarios. Apart from this, what, why, and where we can use Ansible? What are the uh, different ways that we can use Ansible? Do we have this Ansible in the let's say into the cloud environments only, or we can use Ansible wherever we want? So we are going to discuss all these things. Okay, now guys, before starting Ansible, okay, I'll ask that question after some time. Okay, so first of all, what is Ansible? Okay, so Ansible is nothing but it is a configuration management. As per the definition, Ansible is nothing but it is a configuration management tool. Now, what is this configuration management tool? Let me come to that part. Let's take an example that you have, let's say, n number of servers. So when I say n number of server, let's take an example that this is your one server, then you have two server, three, four. Let's take an example that this is your 1,000 server. Okay, that this is your 1,000 server, something like this. Now I'll give a task, hey, you need to configure those resources. Let's say I'll give a task, hey, you need to configure those servers one by one. Or let's say there is a file which is named as something, let's say nginx.conf. On those complete 1,000 servers, nginx is installed, and there is a configuration file of nginx which is called nginx.conf. Now I have given you a task, hey, you need to configure this nginx.conf uh, similarly onto every server. Okay, let's say you have to log in on each and every server one by one, and you need to configure Ansible. So what are the challenges that you are going to face here? The very first challenge, because we are not doing any sort of a automation, so there will be the very higher chances that you will face the let's say you will face the human errors, as well as the task that you are going in a repeated manner. You might feel that this specific task is a bit of boring. Apart from this, there will be the chances that you misconfigured some of the files, or you miss the files on some of the server, which is considered as well under the human error. So to manage all such scenarios, we do have few tools available in the market which are called as the configuration management tool. Okay, now again, if Ansible is a configuration management tool, do we have any other configuration management tool available in the market? The answer is yes. We do have Chef, we do have Puppet, we do have Salt Stack. Okay, so these are some of the other configuration management tools as compared with, let's say, as compared with other configuration management tool. Now, what is the let's say key features that makes Ansible a leader in the market? So we will discuss about each and every scenario in the coming chapter. Okay, but for now, if somebody asks you, hey, what is Ansible, then what you need to tell them that Ansible is nothing but it is a configuration management tool. Okay, so when we say configuration management tool, so is it only related for the configuration? No, guys, we can also create our resources with the help of Ansible. Let's say, what are the key features of this Ansible? So when we say key feature of Ansible, okay, so the very first key feature is that Ansible is a agentless tool. Agentless tool. Okay, so what is this agentless tool means? Guys, whenever you choose any other configuration management tool apart from Ansible, so what is the most difficult thing that you will face here? That let's say this is your server one, this is your server two. Okay, and you have server 3, then you have server 4, server 5, server 6, something like this. Okay, now let's take in an example. This is your Ansible host. Okay, what is this Ansible host? uh, this is your configuration management host, let's say configuration management host. Now if you want to configure all these server using the configuration management tool, so for that what you need to do, if you are using any other tool apart from Ansible, so first of all you need to make sure that the agent of those respective tools are installed on these respective servers. Means if you want to hear what you want, you have to get the, let's say, configuration management server will be there, and the other will have the configuration management agent will be installed on them. Okay, so whereas when you use Ansible, there is no requirement to install the configuration management agent or Ansible agent onto the remote servers. Okay, there is no requirement to install the agent onto the remote server. So this is the very first and the most most important key feature of Ansible. Okay, apart from this, Ansible, to connect with your respective servers or to connect with your remote server, Ansible generally use the SSH mechanism. Okay, now what is this SSH mechanism? Guys, you can see that whenever we are trying to log in on any of the server, we generally required port 22 to connect, okay, to the respective remote servers. So this, in the same manner, Ansible uses the SSH protocol to connect onto the remote servers. Okay, next, it basically use a declarative language. So what is this declarative language? So there is a language which is being used in Ansible, which is called YAML. Okay, so what does that mean? It is basically yet uh, another markup language. Okay, so this is something related, the syntax of this Ansible is something relevant with or referenced with JSON. I'm not saying that it is completely JSON, but yes, it is referenced with JSON, it having its own syntax which is considered as the YAML syntax. Okay, next is the thing which makes Ansible very, let's say, very important tool in the market, that it is free and open source. So when we say open source, we don't require any sort of a license to use Ansible. Okay. Now, another important feature which makes Ansible a very useful, that extensibility. So when I say extensibility, so guys, Ansible is very useful in terms of integrations. For an example, if you want to integrate Jenkins with Ansible, you can easily integrate. We do have the extensions of Ansible as well. We do have the modules and plugins of Jenkins as well. So Ansible generally works with the technologies vice versa. Whereas if you go with the Chef, Puppet, and SaltStack, so those are managed by some of the enterprises in the market. So that is why getting their extensions is not an easy task for us. Getting their documentation is not an easy task for us, as well as getting the support for them is not a uh, easy task for us. Whereas for Ansible, we do have a lot of forums available. Let's say if we want to contribute in Ansible's development, so we can easily become a member of those forums and we can start contributing over there. Okay, so these are the most important features of Ansible, which makes Ansible a leader in the market. Also, uh, Ansible works onto the push mechanism. Okay, uh, so what does this push or pull mechanism? Let me tell you. So what is this push? So for an example, when we talk about the pull mechanism, what happens, guys? Let's take that this is not Ansible server. This is simply a Chef server or a Puppet server. Okay, or a Chef tool or a Puppet tool. So what this is actually going to do for us when we are using Chef or Puppet? So as I told you that apart from Ansible, rest of the tools are either licensed one, or some of their are having their own constraint. So those tools basically works onto the pull mechanism. So what is that pull mechanism? Let's say this is your Puppet server. Okay, let's take an example. This is your Puppet server. So what this Puppet server actually do? Let's so what it will do? This Puppet server, first of all, gather the information from the respective remote servers. Okay, it first of all requires that, okay, my rest of the servers are available, then only they are going to work. Okay, now if this is called the uh, push mechanism, sorry, pull mechanism. So okay, now what this pull mechanism, let's say if any of the server is not working here, okay, so what those tools are actually going to do for us, they are going to work onto the pull mechanism. So what will happen? First of all, your Puppet server will take a pull of the remote server into it and validate that whether those servers are alive or not, and then on the basis of that, it is going to do the operations. So this specific thing makes other configuration management tools a bit slower in nature, a bit complex in nature. Whereas Ansible works onto the pull mechanism. Now, what this pull mechanism is actually going to do for us, guys, here, what this Ansible will do, Ansible works on to the pull mechanism, sorry, push mechanism. So what it will do, it is not going to check that whether there is a remote server or not. It is simply going to apply their changes onto the remote server. Now let's say if we have given a entry into the file, okay, of Ansible, that this is this is the server which need to be executed, but somehow we delete this server. Okay, so Ansible will go to this server as well, because we do have the entry of this server into our Ansible inventory file or Ansible list. Okay. Now let's say if the server does not exist, so even Ansible will try to push the commands onto it, and if the server exists, the respective operations will be done. If the server will not exist, it will not break up. It will go to the next server and execute the commands respectively. Okay, so this is the beauty of Ansible, which makes Ansible a leader in the market. So it works on push mechanism. Guys, remember, whenever anybody or any interviewer is going to ask you, hey, please tell me the features of Ansible, he is actually looking for these three answer, for these six answer in your for these six things in your answer. Okay, so I hope that this specific thing is clear to you guys. So these are the agendas that we are going to discuss: their configuration management, Ansible introduction, what is Ansible modules, Ansible Tower, Ansible plays and playbooks. Okay, so before all of this, let's talk about one more thing, which is called Ansible Tower, because that is not going to be a part of the practical implementation. Why? Because it is not. So guys, in my experience, I have never used Ansible Tower frequently, because it is the GUI of Ansible. Okay, and this is by managed by the community, which is called Red Hat. Okay, so Red Hat basically manages this Ansible Tower. It is a licensed Ansible version. So some people can say that, hey, I can use Ansible Tower license free by some kind of a hacks available in the market. The answer is no. You cannot use it. It is not legitimate to use Ansible Tower without the proper license. Okay, in the IT, no company go for Ansible Tower set of a approach, although it is created by the organization by or Red Hat, but it is not being used in the market. I have never used. Majorly, whenever you want to deal with Ansible, go with the CLI approach. Okay, and yes, if you are planning for any sort of a certification of Ansible, then there is a certificate which is called the Red Hat Certified Engineer. Okay, RSCE, which is related to this Ansible certification. Earlier, this certification was something different with a code of EX400. Now it is covered under EX2294. Okay, So yes, this is all about Ansible Tower. Simply, you can say that whatever the operations that we can perform using CLI, if we want the graphical user interface for them, we have to use Ansible Tower. This product is managed and created by Red Hat organization, and the copyright of this specific product is available with Red Hat only. Okay. Now, what is this configuration management tool? I have already told you that how to what generally configuration management can do. Okay. Now you can see that these are some of the differences of Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and Salt Stack. So when we talk about the scalability, okay, all of them are highly scalable. Ease of setup, you can see Chef is master agent, Puppet is a master agent, Ansible is master node. There is no concept of agent. Salt is again master and agent. Availability, all are highly available. When we talk about management, okay, so we have to use for Chef, we need to be a programmer because it generally deals with the Ruby and DSL set of languages. It works onto the pull mechanism. For Puppet, it is also not very easy because it is use the DSL language. The same thing goes with Salt Stack as well. Whereas Ansible is easy to learn, easy to manage. Okay. And generally this works onto the push mechanism that we have already mentioned. Now, when we talk about the interoperability, so those can be operable. All of them are generally operable in uh, Linux and Unix platforms. Okay. But one thing need to be mentioned here, guys, related to Chef, Puppet, and Salt. The clients on which we want to perform those actions and the agent are should be the similar set of platforms. If there will be a cross platform, things are going to be a little bit tricky for you. That is why Ansible comes into the picture. Okay. Now, configuration language. Apart from Ansible, all of the configuration management tools generally use the DSL language. Okay. Related to the GitHub activity, so you can see that when we talk about the contributors, we are having the most of the contributors with Ansible. Okay. And related to the enterprise cost, so enterprise cost is basically into the enterprise. Ansible is managed by Red Hat community. And the yeah, this is about this is the basic difference about in all the configuration management tools. Okay. So now, why Ansible? We have already talked about. It is very simple. It is agentless. It is efficient as well as it is flexible. Okay. Now, what Ansible can do? Ansible can provision the infra. Ansible can do the configuration management. And Ansible can do the application deployment. It can do the security and compliance as well. It can do the orchestration. So these all things can be done by Ansible. Okay. Now, before talking about Ansible, there are few of the components that we need to discuss. Okay, so let's talk about each and every component of Ansible in a detailed manner. Okay, so components of Ansible. So before that, guys, let me do one thing. Let me create a server. Okay, of Ansible. Although you can do the same thing on your local setup as well, but I am creating the Ansible server for my uh, let's say for my ease of use. Let me just launch the instance. So let's say test Ansible. I'm using Amazon Linux, simply T2 Micro. I'm using the key pair as something like, let's say, CVPC. Okay. I'm using the default VPC. Let me launch Ansible server. This is the raw server of Linux on which I'm going to install Ansible, and after that I'll do the Ansible operations. Okay. So you can see that my this server is created. Let me connect with this server. Okay. SSH -I CVPC EC2 hyphen user @ okay. Now, first of all, how to install Ansible? Simply use yum install Ansible. Those who are going to work on to Ubuntu base, so you have to use apt get install Ansible. Okay. Yes. So Ansible is getting installed onto my this server. Okay. So guys, Ansible is installed on my server. How to verify? I can use the command Ansible -hyphen version. Okay. So this command is basically going to tell you that what is the version of Ansible, and these are some of the basic things that you can easily get. That okay, the Ansible modules are available here. These are the Ansible Python module location. This is the executable location of Ansible, and you can see that right now we are getting the configuration file as none. Okay, so what is this? I'll tell you in some time, but before that, this is Ansible. In this server we have installed Ansible. Okay, so let me change the name of this server. Okay, host name ctl set host name. What I'll do, I'm just giving this server as a name Ansible. Okay, so you can see that I have changed the name of this server. Now guys, there is a very first component that we need to talk about is the control node. Control node. Okay, so what is this control node? So it is the server. Okay, it is the server where your Ansible is installed. Okay, installed, and from where your automation tasks are going to initiated. Okay, so this is called the control node. So guys, in our scenario, this server that we have created, test Ansible, is considered as the control node, because from this specific server we are going to work onto the respective remote servers. Okay, next component is called as the managed nodes. So what is this managed node? These are the nodes, okay, or devices that Ansible manages or configures. Means whenever we want to perform any operation from our control node to any respective remote device or remote servers, so those remote device and remote servers are considered as the managed nodes. Okay, because those are getting managed by Ansible. Remember guys, there is no requirement. Okay, there is no requirement to install Ansible on managed nodes. Okay, this is the second thing. Next is the inventory. Now, what is this inventory? So, guys, inventory is nothing but this is a file, okay, or you can say that collection of files. This is a file or collection of files that will have the information of the managed nodes that Ansible will manage. Means, let's say I have created a script. Now I have that script available on my control node, but my Ansible is not aware that where to execute that respective script. So the information of the of the managed nodes is available into the inventory file. Generally, the base location of the inventory in your control node is cd etc ansible. Here we have we can create a file. Let's say we can create a file inventory. Okay, inventory dot txt, something like this. Let's okay. So here we can define our server names or device names that we want to mention. Okay, so this is the role of the inventory file. Now it is not mandatory to have the name of the inventory file with inventory. You can create, let's say, test, you can create 123, you can define the name of your own choice, but that name should be available into your respective Ansible YAML file. Okay, next thing here is that we need to make sure, which is called playbook. Now what is this playbook? So guys, so this is a script. Okay, this is a script in YAML format. Okay, that contain a task, a task or series of tasks to be executed on managed nodes. Means what is the operation we want to perform onto the remote worker, remote managed nodes is to be defined under the playbook. Okay, so whenever anybody is saying, going to tell you, hey, you need to run that playbook, it means he want you to execute that respective YAML script to perform the specific operation. Okay, next is roles. So what is roles? Roles is nothing, guys, but it is a reusable reusable unit of content. Okay, that organize and encapsulate Ansible tasks. Okay, variables, files and templates. Means if you don't want your code to be hard coded, you want to reuse it, so you have to create the roles in Ansible, and with the help of roles you can manage the uh, different operations. Next is the modules in Ansible. So what is this modules, guys? So these are standalone scripts, okay, or program executed by Ansible on managed nodes to perform specific task. Means, let's say if I want to create a script, for an example, let's say I want to create a task to copy the one file to another file, and then so this space I do have some created modules of Ansible which can perform this specific task. So guys, let's say if you want to learn Ansible in a very good manner, this is the best documentation available to learn about Ansible. You can say this documentation is going to be very helpful for you when you want to understand all the in and out of Ansible. Okay, so this is the role of module. Now we have next thing, we have handlers in Ansible. So what those handlers are going to do for us? So these are nothing but they are going to perform operations such as restarting the services, reloading the configuration files, or changes made by some other task, as well as Ansible. These handlers are uh, you can say the tasks which are triggered by the other task based on the specific condition. For an example, let's say if you want to apply some sort of a condition, if this specific thing matches, then perform this specific thing. So this is basically handled by the handlers. Okay, so these are the 6 or 7 basic components of Ansible that you need to understand when you are dealing with Ansible. Okay, so this is the inventory file that I was talking to you. So these are some of the Ansible setup. Okay, now also let me show you that how we can create the Ansible CFG file. So, or I think the CFG file will be available. I think it is, oh, it is my personal laptop. So this is the default folder of Ansible. Okay, so you can see that this is the folder of Ansible. Now what you want that if you want to create the Ansible CFG file, so how to do that? Although you can is generally available into your what you can do. Let's try to create Ansible CFG with just a second when Ansible, okay, it is not created. So let me do one thing. Let me simply go to, this is my Ansible directory. Instead of this, what I can do is, so simply what I'll do, I'll cd etc Ansible. Let me create the Ansible directory, Ansible CFG file here. Okay. So how to do that? You can use the command Ansible hyphen config. Okay. Ansible hyphen config. Okay. Init means initialize, and hyphen hyphen disabled hyphen t all, and mention the requirements into this respective file. Okay. So guys, here you can find out that there is a file which is called ansible.cfg is created. So this is the main file for configuring any sort of a application in Ansible. Okay. Apart from this, let's say if you don't want that much of the complete file with the respective plugins, if you want a simple file, so what you can do is you can delete this file as well, and you can recreate it with, you can also create this file, you can manually create this file. Okay. Let's say if I use, now what I'll do, ansible.cfg. So I do have again a file, so you can even see the size of the file. The earlier file was around I think 56 KB, and this file is around 39 KB. Now here when I go into ansible.cfg, this is the most important file. Okay, here few of the details that I need to mention. uh, what I'll do, I'll go to the respective Ansible page, and here what I'll do, ansible.cfg. Let me find out. So this is the file you can see. Here it is mentioned that how you can generate the Ansible CFG and what are the things that you required in ansible.cfg. Now, after that, what are the things that you need to make sure when you want to work with Ansible, or what are the things uh, that is generally required by you, okay, in Ansible configuration or in Ansible CFG. So I think the very first thing that we required here is the sample. So when I say this, let me simply, Now you can see that I first of all this default need to be mentioned there. Okay. Now let's try to create our Ansible CMD file inventory. Okay. I'll give the path of the inventory file where I have mentioned. So path was root. Okay. Sorry, it was not root, it was /etc Ansible, and I was having inventory. So this is the default path of my inventory file. Also, let's say if you don't want to mention etc Ansible, you want to create some other file. For an example, I'll create a file with the name as hosts, something like this. Okay. So this uh, I'm creating this file for my inventory. Okay. So what I'll mention here, I'll simply mention that, okay, this is the file where my configurations of the respective devices or IP addresses will be picked. I have mentioned that detail here. Next thing that we need to mention will be fork. Okay. So basically, guys, this fork is important for you that for a specific interval, how many servers your Ansible will perform or pick in a batch. The by default value is 5. You can also make this value whatever you want. What does that mean? Let's say this is your Ansible. You have taken let's say these are your something, you have taken 5 values. So what Ansible will do for the very first time in a bunch, Ansible will going to do the perform operations onto the initial value which is mentioned is, let's say, 10. Okay, for the very first time. Next time, let's say once this operation is completed, then it is going to perform operation onto the next 10, then next 10. So in this manner you can give the fork value in Ansible. Now this fork value is basically used whenever you want to enhance the let's say speed of or enhance the performance of your Ansible. Okay. Another thing that we need to mention here will be, if I'm not wrong, fork value we have mentioned, and next thing that we need to mention was inventory fork, and one more thing is available which is called the host checking, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it is the host key checking. So what does that mean? Remember, guys, Ansible works onto the SSH mechanism. Okay, if you give this host key checking false, so it is not going to check for the handshake of SSH. It is simply going to do the operations for you. Okay, so these are some of the things that you need to mention in Ansible. Now, how this is actually going to work and what are the things that we need to mention into Ansible, let me come to that part as well. But this is the main thing. Okay, one more thing, into etc sshd, we have sshd underscore config. We have one thing which is called the root. So there will be a command which is related to allow root login. So, so first of all, you can see password authentication is no. We have to first of all make this password authentication as yes. Okay. And next thing, there are a lot of uh, things by which we can let's say we can use to authenticate with our remote Ansible servers. Okay. So what I'll do, simply this we have done, and related to uh, root login, something like this, login permit root login. Okay. So Here, what we will do, we log in. This we have done password authentication. Yes, okay. And allow. Okay. Actual uh, text for this. Let me just. Yes, it should be. So what I'll do, permit root login. I'll make it as yes. Okay. Now these are the two things. So systems CTL start, sorry, restart SSH. Okay. So I have restarted the Ansible thing. Sorry, I have restarted my SSH service. Now let me do one thing. Let me create another server and perform the operation on that respective server. Okay. Launch instance. Let's say test one, something like this. Okay. And key pair I'll use for now this one. So you can see that this server is created. Now, guys, the thing that we have performed into the Ansible server related to allow root login, the same thing we need to perform here as well. Okay. C VPC EC2 hyphen user. Why?
Yes.
Because I told you that there are a lot of options available to authenticate with Ansible. So this is one of the method that we are performing. Rest of the methods, I'll give a documentation of that how you can enable those methods. Okay. So vim etc ssh, okay, sshd under sshd underscore config. Okay. Now here two things. That is first one was root. So yeah, first of all, let me make this as permit root login. Okay. Let's say I'll make as yes. Next thing was uh, Your password authentication, yes. So right now it is no. You can see we have to make it yes. Okay, let's say this one. So we have done this thing. Now system CTL restart SSHD. Okay, dot service, something like this. We have done this. Okay. Could you please go a bit slower when creating server so we can see prompt values that you are selecting? So here you can see that, guys, I have restarted the server. Okay. So for one more thing that we need to here, we need to give a password to our root user. Okay. So how to give the password? It should be pass wd, give the name of the user. So let me give the password to this user. Okay. So you can see that I have given a password to this user. Now let me try to show you one more thing here, that, guys, this is my Ansible server. Okay. Now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to log in onto this respective server, which is 54.213.139.8. Okay. This one. Yes. So it is asking for a password. Let me give the password. So you can see that I am able to log in from my Ansible server to the remote host. Okay. For your betterment, for your better understanding, what I'll do is let me change the name of this server. Host name CTL, set host name. Okay. So host name would be, and let's say test node 1. Okay. So again, let me show you that what we have done. This is my Ansible server. From my Ansible server, I am trying to log in onto the remote server. Yes, I'm able to do. Now let's try to do the same operation using Ansible. Okay. So what I have done, guys, now what I am trying to do, I'm going to do a practical that how basically this Ansible works. So for that, the very first one was the controller node, which was the Ansible server where I have installed the Ansible. And the second server that I have created is a managed node. Now I'm going to manage, or I'm going to do the operations from my control node to my manage node. The operations that I have done here, that, guys, there is a step, okay, to authenticate. Now the steps that I have done was to authenticate the Ansible control node with manage node. We need to make the changes into the file which is called etc ssh sshd underscore config. Okay. Under this file there are two flags, which is allow, or you can say permit root login. We have made that as yes. And there is another which is called which was the name of that respective flag was, just a second, password authentication. So if this is no, so you won't able to log in into your respective servers with the password. Earlier, remember, guys, whenever we were trying to log in onto the server, we have to use a key. So now you can see that we are able to log in onto the respective servers without any key. Okay. Now this is the main thing that I have done here. I hope that answers your query now.
Yes, it does. But is it not better to use SSH to log in instead of password?
So, bro, I'm using SSH only. SSH is the protocol. See, I have used the SSH only. You can see SSH root. But the thing here is I am not using any key to log in. I'm using the simple password to log in. Why I'm going to use the password? Because not every person is going to have the key available with them on their local machine. But yes, there will be the possibility that they can use their own username and password and they can log in onto the respective servers. I already mentioned there are n number of ways by which you can log in your Ansible control node with the manage node. This is one of the methods by which we are trying to log in. Okay. So here I wanted to show you one more thing, guys, that uh, you can see that onto my manage node right now there is no server which is let me just give the password. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that I do not have HTTPD service installed on my manage node. So what I'm doing, there is a concept of ad hoc commands. Okay, ad hoc command in Ansible. So what this ad hoc is all about? So guys, let's say if you want to perform any specific task, okay, on Ansible, or you want to perform any single task on Ansible. So to perform those single tasks, we can use the ad hoc command instead of creating the long, let's say, playbook. We can do the same operations, or we can perform the quick operation using uh, ad hoc command. Now, what this ad hoc command is actually going to do? This is my Ansible server, okay, and okay. Also, I need to give the entry of that specific server in my inventory file. Okay. For an example, this is my manage node. Sorry, this is my control node. Let me log in onto the control node. Now I need to define, first of all, let me go into etc Ansible. Okay. So this is my, you can see this is my server. This is my inventory file. Now here under this inventory file, I need to mention the details of the host on which I need to perform the operation. Okay. For an example, here I have opened the inventory file. So let me give the host detail. So let's say the IP address was uh, the public IP address of my manage node is this one. Okay. So I'll simply paste this IP address. Now SSH underscore user, I'm going to use root. Okay. And SSH underscore password, I'm going to use something, let's say this is the password 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay. So this is the password that I'm going to use. So now let me just save this. Let me just verify the uh, so I have mentioned, yeah, I have mentioned the, so it should be Ansible, okay, Ansible underscore SSH password, and next thing is Ansible underscore SSH user. Okay, this one, and I need to give the name of the server. So let's say even you can give the IP address as well. Okay, so I have mentioned that IP address. Let me paste this. Now let me perform a task. It is not, it should not be completely password. It should be, okay. Okay. Now uh, let me use ad hoc command. Okay. So Ansible, okay, hyphen I. Okay, I need to create a group as well. So guys, here I need to define the group as well. So let me say I'll give the name of the group as, let's say, something HTTPD, okay, something like this. HTTPD server. I have defined that name as well. Now, Ansible, okay, I need to give the host name Ansible HTTPD server, okay, hyphen I need to define the inventory from where I want to pick the details, okay. Hyphen M means I want to use a some sort of a, you can say, a module over here. So it should be yum hyphen A, okay. Name should be, let's say, HTTPD. I want to install this, and if it is available, then that is good. If it is not, then install it. So you can see that I have created some ad hoc command. So this command now is going to execute. Okay, so you can see that, guys, this specific is now installed onto the remote server. This is my remote server. Okay, let me just show you what it has done here. So you can see this is my, okay. Now here one more thing, let me create one more command, which is, let me start that specific server as well. For an example,
So because by running this one, it goes through all the IP addresses in the host file and then install HTTPD server, like Apache server on that, right? Is
correct,
that right?
correct.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, let me just show you that earlier, remember, we were not having the HTTPD installed. Now, HTTPD installed on this server, and let me just start systemctl start HTTPD. You can see HTTPD is now present, and I have started this HTTPD. So this uh, the process, this is HTTPD is completely done by Ansible. Okay, so this is one of the ways. Now here we have, although we have done this command, but yes, there is one more limitation here. Ad hoc commands only going to be executed in a, let's say if you want to perform 10 different tasks, then you have to execute 10 different ad hoc commands, which is not a legitimate, which is not a good thing to perform. So that is why, for the troubleshooting purpose, for the one-time task execution, if you are doing, ad hoc commands are recommended. But let's say if you want to perform the operations multiple times, or you want a proper strategy that how the things work, you should create a Ansible playbook. Now let me tell you that what is the meaning of this specific command. So guys, this command is telling that, hey Ansible, please check the host group which is named as HTTPD server, okay, and the inventory file is this one. Execute a module which is related to yum hyphen a means related to operations on all the servers, on all the underlying servers, okay, and install the HTTPD package onto the all the servers which are into the respective inventory file. So this is the actual meaning of this command. Then let me just again go back to the Ansible control node and let me show you that how we can do the same operation using creating a Ansible playbook. Okay. So guys, this is my Ansible uh, control node. Okay. So what I'll do, let me just simply create a playbook, and let's say I'll create the playbook CD, etc. It is not mandatory that you should create your playbooks under etc Ansible. Okay, let me just simply create a playbook. Let's say something like copy.yaml. Okay, so what this YAML is actually going to do for us, or simply let me search for a sample Ansible. Okay, sample Ansible playbook for, okay, so you can see that this is a playbook for installing an Nginx server. So here, okay, So what I'll do, let me copy this code and let me, I'm just creating a script for setting up Nginx. So what this is actually doing. So guys, here you can see the very first is the name. Okay. So name is basically going to tell, this is the name that why you are creating this specific Ansible playbook. Next is the host. Host is very important for you. Let's say if you want to mention that which operation to perform onto which host, you need to mention here. It means I have mentioned all. So whatever the inventory files, I'm not talking about the inventory, whatever the inventory files I have, these operations will be performed on those. Okay, task. Now here I'm defining that what task it is going to do. So it says that ensure Nginx is at the latest version. Okay, so instead of apt, what we need to do, that we need to use yum. Okay, so let me change to yum instead of Nginx. Okay, so here I'll mention that it is yum. Okay, name. Now what package I need to install? So I need to install Nginx. I have defined that package. State latest means the most updated one should be installed. Now this is the second task that I want to perform. Whenever you want to ensure that what task to be performed, name that task and what to be performed, you have to mention. Service means the name of the service Nginx will be started and enabled. Okay, now you can see that I have created this Ansible playbook. Now let me execute this playbook. So how to execute this playbook? Okay, Ansible hyphen playbook, I have mentioned uh, let's say copy.yaml. Simply I'm mentioning it. So you can see that first of all, it is gathering the facts. In this manner, I'm running this Ansible playbook. So you can see first of all, the play means what operation this specific Ansible is going to do. So the very first thing says that set up a web server. Okay, task, the very first is gathering the fact. So this gathering the fact is responsible for validating your inventory files. Okay, it says that okay, this is the server and I'm able to ping that server. Now my first task has been executed. What is this first task? It says that ensure Nginx is at the latest version. It says that change, which means my first task has been executed. Now I think Shirisha, you were asking that do we get any update that which task is failed? So you can see here that we have defined two tasks. Okay, now we have defined two tasks. One task was to install Nginx, second was to start Nginx. Okay, so here we are getting an error while starting this task. So it says that uh,
Unable to
it
start the
says,
service.
yeah, it says that unable to start the service, and you can verify that why it is not able to start the service using systemctl status Nginx. Okay, so even let's say if I have not started the service, let me just go, but my first task is done. Okay, so you can see sudo, so system ctl status, okay, status Nginx, something like this. So I'm getting this error because port 80 is already in use. Who is using? Remember guys, we have executed httpd, we have installed httpd, so that is why it is getting failed. So what I'll do, system okay, ctl stop httpd. So I have stopped this service onto my manage node. Let me stop this service. Now you can see that this service is stopped. Okay, now let me restart this playbook, Ansible playbook copy.yaml. Okay, so you can see that uh, the task one was earlier initiated. Here now we are getting okay, which means we are not, this specific task has been ignored because we have already done this part. And now the second task was to start Nginx, and this task is now started. So this is the recap of this complete task. Hey, I have executed this play on this specific IP. 3 operations are okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1 is changed. There is no host which is unreachable. No operation were failed. Nothing was skipped. Nothing was rescued, and we have not ignored any specific operation. Even when you log in onto this specific server, you can see that port 80 is now enabled onto your Nginx. So guys, in this manner, you can create your own playbook. Okay, let's perform one more thing. Let's try to create multiple servers. Okay, so what I'll do, because we have created these servers, so instead of creating the server again and again and doing the configuration, let me create a copy of this server and let me perform the operation on multiple servers. Okay, so simply image, create image. So let me test Ansible, something like this. Okay, and no review. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm just taking a backup of this existing server and I'm just treating this server as a golden image. Now what I'll do, whatever the images whatever the servers now I'm going to create, those are completely uh, manageable by my Ansible. Okay. Now I think it is created. So let me create multiple servers. Okay, launch instance from AMI. So what I'll do, let me, instead of 1, let me use 10 servers. Okay.
Because can this step be done through the Ansible, like creating the instances from image?
Yes, you can do with Ansible as well. So Shubhjeet, yes, creating a AMI will going to be charged to you. Okay. So you can see this is, I'm not using any key pair right now, guys. Okay, because we have created the Ansible with the help of the existing. So if it is asking to select us, let me, it is required to select us. Let me just use the CEC that we have used. Okay, I'm creating, again, I'm showing you that I'm creating 10 servers, guys. Let's see, I'm creating 10 new servers, launch instance. Meanwhile, let me create a simple playbook. Okay, let's say simple and simple playbook. Let me just compare by the instances. Okay. Now, guys, I'm going to show you that what are the multiple ways that you can manage your inventory. Okay. Host. So simply 10. So what I'll do, so this is another host. Let me give new. Okay. Then I'll again segregate something like, let's say, code. So what is this? Actually, I'm creating multiple different. So this will be used, guys. Let's say when you have the uh, dev, okay, staging, you can manage the Ansible for your multi-environment setup. Means give the name of the, you can give, this is the host group name. This is staging, means you will provide, okay, this server are related to my dev, these server are related to my staging. So the operations are going to perform on those servers only. Okay. So you can see that, okay, these are the servers which are created now. Let me just copy the IP of each and every server one by one. can see we have mentioned this one. Let's take one more server, something with the name. This server as well. Use this server. Even I can use the CIDR block as well, but this is a public IP. It is always avoidable to use the CIDR block with the public IP. Okay, but in your private IP, if you are pretty much sure that your servers are under the same CIDR block and you need not to perform this thing multiple times, so give the IP CIDR. Okay, so now your operation will be done on the basis of the CIDR block. So let me just mention this detail under the HTTP itself. Okay. So can you explain a little bit about CIDR? So Sanjay, CIDR is nothing but it is the CIDR is classless interdomain routing. So let's say if you want a IP of 172.168.0.1 and the IP let's say goes up to 172.168.0. Something, let's say 127. And now you don't want to give 127 entries. So what you can do, you can give a IP of /24. So what it will do? So it will take all your IPs under this specific block. Okay, so /24 is not something CIDR block. So you can use this document to understand more about CIDR because it is a complete networking topology. We cannot cover up here, but you can follow this. If you have any doubt, you can reach out. Okay. So guys, here you can see that I have created multiple groups. Okay. And now let's do one thing. What I want in my Ansible playbook, I don't want to be perform this operation on HTTPD. I just want to perform this operation on dev servers. Okay. So how to do that? So I'll simply open my Ansible playbook, which was something, let's say, copy.yaml that we have created. Okay. Copy.yaml. So I just wanted to perform this operation on the dev servers. I don't want the operations to be performed on rest of the servers. So what I'll do, so you can see that these operations are going to be performed. So it says that I am having some issues with, okay, so it is not able to connect to my respective servers. Why it is not able to connect? Might be there is some issue uh, related to keys. Okay, let me try to SSH root @ just a second. It should not be like this. SSH -IC VPC -CT -user @ this is the IP. Image. CPO. Should be underscore config. Okay, so it is having the password authentication still no. Might be it was not able to pick the operation, but here
But
you can
you
see
create an image, right, from there. So
yeah,
why
yeah,
not is there?
might be there is some issue. I need to check for that. But here, guys, you can see one thing that it is only going to reach the servers that we have mentioned into the playbook. For an example, it is only going for these three servers. Sorry, cat, etc, Ansible, host. Okay. So it is only going for these three servers. It is not going for any other server. So this was the thing that I wanted to show you. If you want to perform this operation onto a single server, or let's say onto a single host group. So you just need to define the host group into your respective playbook, and then you can do whatever the operation that you want to perform with the play using your Ansible playbook. Okay. Now, guys, if you have any doubt, just let me know. Okay, if no doubt, then let's go back to our script. So these are the configuration setups of Ansible. We have Ansible CFG, Ansible. This is the home directory. These are some of the basic files of Ansible. Okay. Now there are some modules available in Ansible. So why those modules are basically used and what is the use case of each and every module? So let's talk about these things in a detailed manner. Meanwhile, let me do one thing. Let me delete the rest of the servers which we are not going to use anymore. Okay. Otherwise, it is going to charge me. So I have deleted this. Now what I'll do, wait for a few more seconds. Okay, meanwhile, let me jump onto the module page of the respective Ansible document. Okay, this is the Ansible document. So you can find the module here. Okay. So how those modules are created and what is the use case of those modules. So guys, always remember Ansible will work on two modules. One is the custom module. Second one is the default module. So there are more than 3,000 modules available by Ansible, which you can use to perform your operations. For an example, these are nothing but these are the custom utilities created by Ansible to manage your operations. Okay. So let's say if I'll come to this module utility, so we do have the plugins, we do have the modules available, how we can use the module. Let me just come to that part. Okay, my servers are deleted. Let's verify it once. So what I'll do, let me just, okay. So what I will do, let me create copy.yml, something like this. Okay. And copy, copy a new file which we called as module.yaml. Okay. So vim mod dot. Even we can easily get the understanding of this module, what it is actually going to tell us about. So when you check this file, which is copy.module, okay, here you can see that we have used a module yum. So this module is actually going to install, this is going to use the yum module of your Linux operating system. So this is going to do the operations onto the uh, yum based operating system, not onto the Debian base. So let's say if we have created a module which is called mod1. So let's do one thing. I'll give, okay, what it is going to do actually. Okay, let's say copy one file to another. I want to perform this operation from this module. So host, I'll give all. Okay, now what are the tasks I need to do with this? Okay, another thing that I can mention here, that one thing which is called the become colon. Yes. So which means that whenever we use this become equals to us. So if let's say we are copying the directories that require some sort of a privileges, so it is going to bypass that as well, or it is going to use that specific thing. Okay, now under the task we have mentioned that what operation I want to perform this specific module. So let me define the operations that I wanted to perform with this module. Let's say uh, copy a file to my directory, something to my directory. Okay, okay, so now give the name of the module that you want. Copy. Okay, now as you have used the copy module, you need to define the source, the destination, etc., etc. Okay, so first of all, let's define the source. This is the source of the Ansible server where you want to copy. So let's say I want to copy from temp abc.txt. There is a file and destination that onto the remote server where you want to copy that. So let me just, sorry, it should be dest. Okay, let me just copy this to simply home ec2 hyphen user something. It's okay. So I have defined the destination. I have defined the what I can say, this source and destination. Now I also want to make sure that the permission of the file should be non-executable. Sorry, it should not be open with anyone. So I have defined the permission as well. I also want that the owner of the file, okay, owner of the file should be the username by which I'm using. So let's say owner, what I want, the root should be the user, okay, and the group should also be the root. root. Okay, so let me mention the group as well. Now here, let me do one thing. Let me create one file which is called abc.txt under temp. Okay, hello K21, how are you? Okay, I have mentioned this thing. Now let me do the operation. So what I'll do, Ansible hyphen playbook, and I'll give the name. So you can see that this is executing. So it has checked for one of the operations. Now guys, you can see that as I have 9 false entries in my respective inventory file, my operation slows down a bit. Simply, it was about simply after this step, it should execute this step. But I have false entries. So because I'm using push mechanism, so it is checking for all the servers that whether they are alive or not. And it is trying to perform the operation on them as well. Okay. So you can see that those are not allowed. So that is where there is a very slight, you can say, delay we have expected here. So you can see copying a file to my directory. It says that I have performed this operation. Let's do one thing. Let's try to log in onto our respective server. What is the name of the that? What is the IP? Let me just complete this. So So guys, what we have written in our scripting, it was, let's say, it says that you should copy from this source and destination should be this. So let's go on to this server, cd, okay, home, ec2-user, we have this, and here you can see that this abc.text has been copied. And when we check the permissions, you can see 644 are the permission, the user are the root. So we have achieved this using this specific module. Whereas instead of this copy module, if we want to create our playbook without any module, so the playbook is going to be very bulky. Let me just show you that how it is going to be. Uh, Now let's jump to our PPT. Okay, so we have checked that how we can define the modules. You can simply follow this respective page and you can find out, because as I told you, related to AWS, we have, let's say you want to perform any operations on AWS. So only for AWS, Ansible provides more than 3,000 plugins. So it is not mandatory for you. Even guys, believe me, if a person who is having more than 20 years of experience only in Ansible, he cannot write the playbook without taking a reference from this document. It is not only related to Ansible, it is related to any sort of a programming language or any sort of automation script. You have to take a reference from any of the document, but there you should be clear with the logic that what you are going to perform. Okay. Now, next thing here is, after the modules, we have, you can see that we do have a ping module here. So this ping module is basically going to check that whether your respective server is alive or not. Let's say if I want to customize this specific, okay, let's say this one, I delete all those things. Okay, I just wanted to use a ping module. So what this ping module is going to tell us about, this is going to tell that whether my respective server is running fine or not. Let's say, so I'm not changing the name. Let me execute this. So you can see that we have received that, okay, what is the operation it has tried to do. So in that manner, we can use any sort of a module. Okay. Next is, let's say, this is the setup module where if we want to gather the fact onto the remote server, we can use the setup module. We can use the shell module to execute any existing script using Ansible. Okay. We can use the yum module to install the packages of the yum. We can use apt module. We can use apk modules as well. We can use the command module. So command modules are basically used to execute any sort of a command. Okay, we can use the cron modules. Now let's say if we want to execute a cron tab, okay, or schedule any task using this Ansible, so we can do that as well. We can use the file module. So file module is basically going to, first of all, check the that what is the format of that file, and then it is going to perform the operation. Okay, user module, you can see copy module that we have recently used. We can use the fetch module to fetch the detail uh, from the remote nodes. We can use the service module to start the services. Let's say starting the service or stopping the service. As well as we can use the template module. So this template is basically uh, used for a remote server. Group module, so the git modules, aws module. So you can see we can integrate our Ansible with multiple servers. If we want to unarchive any specific file, so we can use unarchive module. So you just name the task, we have all the modules. Now what is the benefit of using those modules, guys? Let's say if you are doing the core programming of Ansible, you don't want to use a module, so your code is going to be a lot of bulky. For an example, here under the, let's say, this AWS module, what it is actually going to do, first of all, here instead of AWS S3, what you need to mention, you need to first of all update your Ansible playbook in a manner that first of all install AWS CLI. Okay, so what we are going to do if we are not using any sort of a module, so install. Okay, so first of all, before installation, check that either AWS CLI is installed or not. This is the first step. Then if it is not there, then install AWS CLI. Okay, if it is then what we need to do, AW, now let's say according to this it is copying some files to this specific object. Okay, so what we are going to do, AWS S3. Okay, then we are going to give the complete ARN of the service, then we are giving the file path. Okay, then we are giving the address on remote S3 bucket where to upload, something like this. Okay, so if this is done, then we are verifying using the handlers that whether it is uploaded or not. If it is there going, then we are going to jump to the step 4. So you can imagine the bulkiness of the Ansible playbook if you are not using the modules. So in that way, now what this module is actually going to do for now, it is simply going to do the AWS S3 operation. Now we are sure that what operation to be performed. We are defining the bucket, object, source, and mode. Put means uploading, get means downloading. So in this manner, you can see it is simplifying our coding. It is simplifying our operations. Okay. Now the same with the Azure model as well. The same with the unarchive. So for unarchiving, what are, let's say instead of this earlier, what we need to do, we need to first of all make sure that we do have the whether the gunzip package or unzip package available on our remote server. Apart from this, it is going to check that in which format the file is, then it is going to archive, then it is going to copy from one source to another source. So it is going to work in that manner. So using a single module, we are almost decreasing 7 to 8 lines for our each and every step. So you can imagine that how much this Ansible is helping, Ansible module is helping us to reduce our code. Okay, same thing at sysctl, fail now. So these are some of the modules that you can use. Now, what are the plays and playbooks that we have already discussed? This is one of the sample example of a playbook where they are creating a playbook for installing some sort of a web servers. Now, what does that mean? The very first thing is the host. Now, here we have this documentation is created by our team where we are mentioning the what is the role of each and every step. So in the host, this host is responsible for managing the inventory host that on which servers you want to perform the operations. Okay, now this where's now we are passing a variable. This is the variable we are passing, that port 80 and maximum 200 connection it should accept. Okay, remote user should be root. The task to be performed to install httpd. Okay, and install the latest one. Second is that rewrite or reconfigure the Apache file configuration. The templates are mentioned here. src source means this is on my local and this will be implemented on the remote servers. Okay, notify once Ansible is started. Here we have used the handler of notify. Okay, now once it is started, then okay, so what it will do, uh, it will start the httpd, it will restart httpd, and that is the complete use case this Ansible is doing. Now here task 1 is considered as a play, task 2 is considered as a play, task 3 is considered as a play. Play means what operations we want to perform by our Ansible playbook. Okay, now here we have the dry run model as well. Guys, let's say if you don't want to run your Ansible playbook, you don't want your changes to be applicable onto the remote server, you just want to check that okay whether your playbook is perfect or not as per the use cases. So what you can do, you can use a hyphen check option. What this hyphen check option is going to do, Ansible hyphen playbook. Okay, give the playbook name, let's say mod.yml hyphen check. If I'll give this, it is not going to execute, it is simply checking that whether the changes are whatever things I have mentioned are perfect or not. So guys, this is the way that we can use a dry run as well that I have shown you. Okay, next is the facts gathering. Now what this facts gathering is all about. So guys, let's say if you want to get a certain amount of information from the remote host, that whether the target host is alive or not, what is the public IP of that host, what is the private IP of that host. So you want to gather all those information, you can use the facts gathering in Ansible. Okay, now this is basically discovered by Ansible automatically when it is going to reach the host. Facts gathering, we can customize this facts gathering, we can disable this fact gathering as well, but it is not a good practice to let's say uh, to disable this, because you are managing a Ansible inventory. There will be the scenario where there is a one important server and you need not to perform that operation onto that respective server, and if you have not enabled the fact gathering, it is directly going to perform the operations. So there will be a certain possibilities that you will face the consequences of that specific playbook on that respective server that you don't want to execute. Meanwhile, whenever it is into the state of facts gathering, you can also terminate your Ansible playbook by using the Control D or Control C option. Okay. Now, this facts gathering is basically in a stage between the playbook execution, and yeah, this is you can say that whatever the next step it is going to do, it is taking that next task in its cache memory, and once the current task is implemented, then the next task is going to be run. So it is completely uh, under the cache memory of the facts gathering thing. Okay, next will be their debug reports. So let's say if you want the uh, errors, that okay, that what are the errors, and you want the detailed reporting of that thing, so you can use the debug and report option. Okay, so here you can see that we have created a playbook and we have mentioned that okay, on this host I need to perform the operation, this is the task to be performed, register where. Now here you can see that we have given register where, which tells that okay, you should give the debug info, and under the debug the message to be print means debug info is, and we are calling this variable here. Okay, so this is the so let me just show you this example once. Let me create a new playbook. uh, Let me create a playbook with uh, playbook, let's say Ansible playbook for directory, creating directory, to something like this. So I got this playbook. We do have some built-in functions available with us. Okay, let's say let me use this. Okay, so let's say dir dot YAML. Let's say I'll mention temp, and it should be this one, and the owner and the I want root. Okay, and one more thing that I want here is root. Now how to use this specific uh, register, we are mentioning a variable here. Okay, this one. Now what I'll do, hyphen, I need to define the name, that what I need to perform. Name, let's say do debug. Okay, do debug, something like this. Here I need to mention that okay, debug what, space. Let's give some, this message should be print. Yeah. Debug is, let's call this variable in our Ansible playbook. Let's say var, something like this. Okay. Now let me execute this playbook. Ansible playbook on this, and Ansible hyphen playbook. Okay, I'll give the name of this playbook like this. So I'll get an error on the in dir.yaml. What was the other file? Let's say copy.yaml, simply mention.
Should the name be the first one without the dash?
Yes, name will be the very first one. Copy.yaml is this one, and next that file dir.yaml, I'll simply use this. Okay, now .yaml, I'll simply paste it here. Now let's try to execute this once. Right, there is some error with, but you can use this for getting the messages. So it's simply going to print. We have to use this. I mean, whenever we get this detail, so it is going to give us the detailed view that okay, this operation is performed and on which it is performed. Generally, this parameter is not used in Ansible because into the production. I'm not saying that it is not completely used, but very rarely you are going to use, because most of the errors you will get in the uh, error page only, that we have seen like in this way. Most of the errors will be shown to you in this way only. Okay, so that is why people, if they want the more detailed debugging, then only they will enable this specific feature. Otherwise they will not perform the, because the primary role of Ansible is not to make a bulky script. Okay, next is the template. So let's say if you want to gather the information from a other playbook in Ansible, then you can use the template. So what to do this for this specific template? Let's say host web server something task, this one. Now here, let's say if we want to get the information from some other Ansible playbook, so we have to reference or into this, let's say template, give the source and give the destination name. So in this manner we can use the Ansible templates as well. Okay, roles and Galaxy is something different. So here you can see that there is a use cases of Ansible handlers related to roles, that guys, that I told you that roles are going to be used for the reusability purpose. Okay, whereas your Ansible handlers can be used in a manner, let's say if you want to trigger any specific task after getting a notification, if you want to trigger any specific amount of task after any specific task is already completed, then you can use the Ansible handlers over there. Next, we can define the variables as well. We can use the Ansible vault setup as well. Now, what this vault setup is all about, right now, whatever the username creations we are doing, we are putting all these things into the Ansible inventory file. But here there is one problem, that we cannot mention our password as well, username and password. So that is why we have a Ansible vault setup, where with the help of Ansible vault we can ignore providing our username and password into the respective inventory file. We can use the -- vault password file. We can use the password, so it will be ignored. Okay, next thing that is considered as the parallelism and fork, that I have already told you, that fork value is that at a specific interval of time, how many servers will be executed in a first bunch, or in a first group, how many servers will be executed. So this is the role of Ansible fork. Now, next thing, Ansible Tower. It is completely, let me just show you that how this UI looks like for Ansible Tower. Ansible Tower. So this is basically the GUI of Ansible CLI. Okay, when you click on Ansible Tower, so it's like this. You will get this kind of a dashboard where you can manage your see, in this manner. Let's say you will generate this works in a manner. You will have your dashboard. You can mention the resources from the console. You can mention the things from the console. So in this manner, you can use Ansible Tower. Okay. Now you can see that whatever the things that we are right now managing from CLI, the same things you can mention from the GUI of Ansible. Okay. You can also create your own Ansible Tower, but I would recommend, if you really want to learn Ansible, please go with the Ansible CLI approach only. Okay. Even in your organization, you will never get a chance to work onto the Ansible Tower. Now, next thing here that is related to, see, this is the introduction. So into the introduction, you can see whatever the operations that we are performing using the CLI, the same operation is getting performed using the GUI. Okay. Next thing is you can follow this in docs.ansible.com, from where you can get the Ansible CLI commands, and this page is also going to give you the details of Ansible GUI. Okay.
Thank you so much for staying with us till the end of the video. I have something special to share. If you loved our content today, then you are absolutely going to adore what's coming next. We have a free class, and the best part is it's available for everyone. This class goes in depth into the topics we touched on today, offering you detailed insights, comprehensive explanation, and even some exclusive content that wasn't covered in this video. All you have to do is just click the link in the description below and you will be redirected to this page. Or if you are just starting out, just type k21academy.com/devops02. Now, all the information inside the video that we will be covering is listed here. And for the class, click on the date, enter your name, enter your email ID, enter your phone number, and click on register now. Then you will be redirected to this page. Also, you can add this to your calendar. I promise this is something that you don't want to miss. So go ahead, click on the link and step into the world where learning knows no boundaries. Till then, keep enjoying. I'll see you in the next video.